Hi, friends. Okay. Hey, girly action. Can you hear me? Can you let me know whether or not you can hear me? Because I don't feel like my. Uh, rock the bells. Thank you. Lee, how are you? Okay, I'm like huffing and puffing because I'm in the middle of an event. Oh, wait, I don't think these are in my ears. Give me one sec, y'all. Hold on. Give me one quick second, you guys. I just need to get my AirPods working. Thank. Here we go. All right. Okay, Basquiat official, I let you in, but it doesn't seem like it's working. Give me one sec. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Good, good, good. Maybe you can say hi to the folks while I get myself situated here.
Hey, everyone. I'm Jeanine, one of the Basquiat sisters, and we're excited today because this live in particular is going to add two of Jean-Michel's good friends, and, and this is in preparation for a talk that we're going to have on a conversation, actually, have on Friday at the space.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd love to welcome both Lee Quiñones
Well,
and
let me see if I can get them on while you're.
to the live.
Okay. Shani, you're coming in and out a little bit. It may be just me. So y'all who are on, can you do us a favor and let us know if you can hear Shani? I don't know who that is. Okay, that's not the right. All right. So Lee, I saw you on here. Would you request to join, please? And Toxic, I don't know if you're on here. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Lou.
Sideways.
You're sideways, girl.
Yeah, I don't know the best way to do this, so I'm just going to hold it.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. My son, Rich House Reviews, is on here. And so we're waiting for, yeah, she was cutting out in and out a little bit. So maybe Jeanine, if your phone is down.
Yeah, I had it leaned up and.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lee, are you? Okay. Everyone is requesting to join, but the folks that we want to join. So Lee, if you're on here, would you join? Would you request to join? And Toxic, if you're on here, would you do the same? Thank you all for joining. We have this event coming up on Friday. It's the Young Kings panel discussion. For those of you who have been following us, we have had some amazing panel discussions so far, and we're continuing that this coming Friday. And we're having it, and we say this every single time, but it's like an extra special conversation, but it really, really is. Each one of them are. And we're going to be having a conversation, another panel discussion this coming Friday with Toxic and Lee Quiñones. And very, very excited about that. And Lee, there you are. Okay. So Lee is on his way in. And now we're just waiting for, and Lee is in the house. And we're so happy you're here. Hey.
Hey.
How are you? All
Good.
right, the party is coming. Right, rock the bells. Thank you. So rock the bells. So we did a 50th year celebration for hip hop, and we had Dougie Fresh and Ari Melber moderated the conversation, and Yo-Yo was on, and Rhapsody, and it was an incredible, incredible conversation, just like all of our panel discussions are. And my granddaughter actually gets to say that that Dougie Fresh beatboxed for her. So I don't know that a lot of folks can say that. Lee, so excited to see you here.
So
And
excited as well. Can you hear me well?
we can hear you. Yeah. Jeanine, can you say some stuff to make sure we can hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Okay. So someone should find Toxic. Um,
He's
and we'll get
probably
he's probably what? Say it.
probably roaming the city. Being
I know. He's like, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. So maybe if someone can find him, that'd be amazing. But I think we should go ahead and maybe get started. So for you all, what we're doing today is we're going to have a conversation with Toxic and Lee Quiñones, and we're going to be talking a little bit, just giving a little teaser about friendship, and more specifically, friendship around these incredible artists, Jean-Michel, Lee, and Toxic, who knew each other back in the day and who have made a career out of expressing themselves creatively. And so what we wanted to do, Jeanine and I, is to get the group together and continue this ongoing conversation about being a creative, what that looks like, about the 80s art scene, which is its own little thing, and the evolution of an art scene that started in the 80s and that has continued for 4 decades to be the amazing expression and historical space that it has created. So I think while we're looking for Toxic, Lee, hello.
Hey, hey. Live from New York.
That's right.
Great.
That's right.
Oh, it really is. It's great to see you both.
Yeah.
Thank you. So can you just kind of give us an idea of, first of all, how did you meet Jean-Michel?
It's funny, like meeting Jean-Michel, for many people, I guess it comes in so many. It's almost like a roundhouse. You met him here, you met him there, you met him over there, whatever. I did meet him officially at the Canal Zone party that we were part of in sometime in early '79 through Michael Holman, who was at the party, and Basquiat, who was hosting the party at his loft. So that's where we met. Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I heard about that party, and it seems to have been legendary with, Glenn O'Brien, and like you said, Mike Holman. I think Fab was there. So thank you for sharing that with us. We don't really, we want to just kind of drop some seeds on kind of the conversation that we're going to take place on Friday, but we just wanted to, introduce you, let those people in IG world get a taste of, the conversation that we're going to have, and kind of get that late 70s and 80s flair. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what the scene was like back then, the dance scene, the graffiti, all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was, to remember it, there's an old saying, if you remember the 70s, you wasn't there.
I hear that.
That's how much fun it was, and so chaotic at the same time. I mean, it was a really good, strong sense of community because everybody was experimenting in the lab at the same time. And anything went and goes at that time. There was this intersection where people just by coincidence. You could bump into people in New York, on the streets of New York, that you haven't seen in years, just by turning a corner and literally bumping into them. And that's exactly the way it was. It was like you bumped into musicians and poets and actors and filmmakers and painters and sculptors, and you just kind of like vibed on, there's a free terrain. There's an open terrain, free thinking kind of atmosphere where there was no critique, critical, just like, people were just letting people spread their wings and let their hair down. There was that kind of like environment. Like New York was coming out of, I won't give away too much of the gory details, but New York was coming out of a very challenging time. Well, really, in the 70s, it was still in the challenging times, right? So it didn't really, kind of like redeem itself um, until the 90s or so, early 90s. But, even then it was pretty wild. But the 70s was pretty much an offshoot of like sort of residue left over from the Vietnam era, the civil rights movement, the blackout of 77. Um,
Those who know
yeah,
about that.
and
Sitting in a Cordoba somewhere in New York City while
yeah,
listening to the radio.
yeah, that is that great song, "The Night the Lights Went Out." It's such a great song. It's a disco classic.
Yeah.
And I listen to it every now and then, and I do remember where I was. But I remember where I was in the first blackout in 1965. People don't talk about that. Yeah, I'm that old. So New York was going through a very sort of it was going through a meat grinder, but it was also going through a very special place in creativity and experimentation. And flirtation, cross-pollinating all these beautiful talents that were not ashamed of themselves. And people were dancing. People were in the clubs. They weren't holding up the walls. They weren't wallpaper.
Or
Right?
holding a phone, just like dance, get in there, sweat.
Right.
Sweat a little bit.
And it's interesting because I'm sure that your brother was well, he was well versed in music and all, and he loved music like we all do. But people, you really felt the vibe in the room, and I really believe in vibes more than anything. Vibe, ideas, vibes, and I think the vibe back then was like people were really happy that something new was changing, like a change was a coming, and that there was more of an inclusion instead of seclusion and exclusivity. It was more that people felt like they were going to now combine forces and create a whole new dialogue for a whole new era. And in spite of like what was going on around them, right? So good or bad. So it was a very unique time.
Yeah. I want to ask, I'm sorry, Jeanine, just one quick second, excuse me. Someone on our team, can you let me know what Toxic's handle is? Because there's someone who keeps asking to join, but I don't think it's him, but I want to make sure that I'm not like keeping him out of the room by accident.
What is the handle? I might know.
Oh, okay. Shut oh mom.
Sounds like toxic, but I don't know.
I know, right? I'm like, it could be, but I don't know. I don't know. We could always just let the person on and kick them off. It's not toxic, but that would be damn rude.
Let them on for a second and go, thanks for playing.
You want to do it? I know, right? We should. Let's do it. Let's say. We're going to do it, okay?
Should no, Girly Action said it was Toric A at Toxic or something like that.
All right, Jenny. All right. No, we're not doing that. Okay. No. So not it. All right, Shadow Mom, yeah. No. Okay, sorry. What was your question?
I'm glad we're laughing. I'm glad we're laughing because, again, the world finds itself in a very dark place. And back then, it was coming out of dark places and maybe even going into darker places and stuff. But people were, like we were saying, people were really happy to be alive and happy to be able to express themselves. And thank God for artists. Thank God for DJs.
Thank God for artists of all kinds. Seriously, creatives of all kinds. Because if it wasn't, Quinn is on. Quinn Wilson's on. Hello, hello, hello. Humber Teterones. Hello. Let's see who else is on here. Just Black Bunny 90, Dolphin Boy. Thank you all for joining.
Lee, I wanted to ask. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jeanine. Really quick, if you have questions, y'all, that you want answered during this panel discussion that's taking place at Jean-Michel Basquiat King Pleasure in LA at the Grand on Friday, I think it's 6 o'clock. If you have questions that you'd love for us to bring up during this panel discussion, please post the questions in here and we'll keep track of them and ask those questions on the stage. We're not going to do the whole thing right now. This is just an opportunity for you to understand a little bit more about how important this conversation is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to, just get a brief idea from you. What is the difference between, being an artist back then and today? Is there any difference? How was it to navigate it back then as opposed to today?
Wow, good question. I mean, back then I was sort of on, I would say a good number of us were sort of on cruise control in a way, just trying to um, sort of swat away all the negativity that was in the air,
Mm,
find some kind of positive energy from your work and sharing your work, having a good discourse through creation of things and attitudes and vibes. Again, I think now, uh, I mean, it was always a sense of community back then. And I
mm,
feel that there is still a sense of community now. Um, and more than ever, I think artists, I love the term artists invite artists. I
Mm,
think artists need to really keep in touch with each other nowadays, and sort of exchanging information about all kinds of things, not just ideas or concepts and all that, but about how to move forward and not be ashamed or lame by being, because it's okay to be, people should feel comfortable in their lanes.
that's right.
I feel in my own lane. And to answer your question, um, sometimes I feel alone, but I am alone in my studio, literally. I'm there painting, and it's like, back then was, wow, even in the subway tunnels, I felt like I was alone, but I felt like I was part of this huge community that had my back. Um,
Hmm.
Now I feel, when I'm in my studio, within my four walls, I leave one open. I always like to say I leave one wall open. That's the community that I want to let in, that deserves to be let in, because um, I may be alone, and it takes a lot of courage to create things and then unleash it or release it, debut it in the world, and then take it on the chin from there on. Back then, the mystery of it all made you feel bigger than life, and you were more of a mystery and enigma to most people. Whereas today, people know who you are,
Hmm.
and I just like the difference between then and now is that I secure to my work on how it speaks to me before I even unleash it on a canvas or on a wall. I feel that I need to be sincere and candid with my work first before I can share it with the rest of the world.
Mm,
And I mean, this movement, it did not come from one place. It came from so many different places, so many voices. Um, and it couldn't be more unique. And that's why I used to say arguably, but I say hands down, the largest art movement in the history of mankind.
mm.
I agree,
Wow.
for sure.
Do you think social media has been a help or hindrance to your craft and to the art world?
Um, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I kind of like keep low key. I try to like just not get distracted and attracted to things that, they're so in your face. You're inundated with so much information nowadays, that you could actually lose, uh, like steer off your rails. And maybe it informs people. Sometimes it does. And I have to admit, I read online. I'm like, okay, cool. But I'd rather have a real old fashioned book in my hand and stuff. And I'd rather just be looking at someone in their eyes and
Yeah.
maybe even just feeling the vibe in the room.
Hmm.
Just I walk around. I walk around a lot of times talking to myself. Um, and I feel that I'm talking with something bigger than I am, than I could ever be. It's just an exchange that I'm having prior. It's like a prayer to my work. And what I'm doing is I'm talking with vibe. I'm talking with something that I'm feeling in the air. Or, good friend of mine, Hayes, told me one time, Lee, you're a storyteller through your work. And I was like, I never thought about it that way. And I am. I am a storyteller. So being that, I'm almost mining I'm mining all kinds of things that are happening, whether it's the airwaves are off, or if I hear a song. Today I had kind of a rough day, and I walk into into a room, and what's playing is "Ooh, Child, Everything Is Gonna Be All Right." I was like, wow. And I just take those things as like real sincere. Like you gotta look to see. You have to listen to you have to hear to listen. So I take those things to account, and I take them very seriously. So I don't know if I answered your question and
No, absolutely.
diverted to something else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I saw that Toxic is here. You have to request to join.
He's trying to, yeah, I'm actually, yeah. Toxic, would you request to join, please? Yeah, I think one of what I'd love to talk about as soon as we can get Toxic on. You started following it. Okay, there you go, Toxic. I think you're making your way. Somebody made a comment. Mark Saladino said that that you were a true New Yorker, Lee, and that's what y'all are getting here. Like real, you're gonna have a whole like Instagram quad of 4 real New Yorkers, and that's kind of a different kind of situation. Okay, can Toxic join and no one else request to join, please? We only want to talk to Toxic. Let's see if here we go. I think I'm going to get you. Let's see.
Where's that chat?
I'm trying. The only options I have are to remove him, and that's not what we want. Hold on. Toxic, did you request to join? Would you please request to join? Y'all excuse us for just 1 second while we get the other New Yorker on. So we're here, Basquiat King Pleasure, Los Angeles. We have a panel discussion called Young Kings. It's happening this Friday at the Grand in Los Angeles at the King Pleasure LA exhibition. And we're going to have a conversation on Friday in person with Toxic, Lee Quiñones, Jeanine, and myself. My name is Lisane, and we're really excited to have this conversation on Friday, because what we're going to get to talk about is, and there are still a few tickets left, what we're going to get to talk about is really the 80s art scene, the friendships that Jean-Michel had and continues to have, and also really an opportunity to talk to living artists who have continued to build their career since the 80s and what they've done since then. And I think that the stories of both Lee Quiñones and of Toxic are really important stories to tell. And Jeanine and I get the opportunity after all these years to actually sit down and vibe out and chat and talk a little bit about that world and that life. And then afterwards, Toxic is going to do a DJ set for us. He's an amazing DJ, and he's going to do a set for us. But Toxic, you gotta request to join, bro. Where are you? I don't want to talk to you in the chat. I want you to request to join. Let's see. I'm going to figure this out. Here we go. Okay, I just figured out how to do it. Hold on. Just
might not be
I know. I'm trying.
Also,
I think it may be.
I also think it's important for our listeners to know that Toxic is one of the ones of the Hollywood Africans. The 3, Jean-Michel, Ramelzi, and Toxic, were the ones who came to LA and were the inspiration for the 2 paintings that Jean-Michel painted. One
Toxic,
which is
you're invited.
Mm-hmm. So, we'd love to hear Toxic's words and, kind of the story of when he visited LA with Jean-Michel.
So Toxic's the dude in the red hat in Hollywood Africans. All right, so I think I just invited you, Toxic, so I hope you're on your way. Let's see if you can do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That painting, iconic as it is, it might be wishful thinking, but I'm thinking, was A1 also included in that painting, or
not in the one that's in our exhibition? It's quite possible the yellow one that is hanging up at the Whitney,
right?
But we'll have to investigate that. But there is another painting at the show that quite possibly A1 is in.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting close. Toxic, I just invited you to join. I don't know why it's not.
Toxic. Dramatic.
This is ridiculous.
He's leaving
This
it
is
for
it.
that like dramatic
I know. I
entry.
think that's what's going on here. I think he's like, no, maybe wait till Friday. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying. And I'm pretty like technologically. Oh no. Let's see.
He's like the guy, what, in the Wizard of Oz. He's like
He
behind
is. I know. Harold, we want to see you. Come from behind.
I'm tired of being at the podium for too long.
I know. I don't. Now I lost. Oh, here we go. Toxic. Can you?
It's
Non-social behavior. That's
wow.
what's going
Okay.
on.
Social
Okay.
behavior. Yeah, he's having some technical.
His non-social behavior. Okay. Toxic. Are you getting, guys? All right. Toxic. Let me know that you actually get that you've gotten the invitation to join. Can we start with that? Damn it! All the wrong people are requesting to join.
In
trying to
the
bum
meantime,
the velvet.
In the meantime, keep talking.
I'm going to do some PSAs. So, of course,
Let's do it.
We are promoting Young Kings, which is taking place on Friday, October 20th, here at the King Pleasure exhibition in LA, in downtown LA. You will have free access, full access to the exhibition, and then there will be a panel discussion in the Palladium, and then there will be an after party, which Toxic will be DJing. At the end, there will be cocktails for guests 25 and over. And then on Saturday, the 21st, we are having a block party right here at the King Pleasure exhibition. We are going to have food trucks and art projects. It's for kids and adults. Breakdancing lessons. We're going to have a photo booth, temporary tattoos. So please come on down on Saturday, October 21st for that. Tickets are on our website for sale on that.
Okay.
And then
Jenny, one quick sec before you, 1 second. Toxic, if you're on there, you're going to see a little camera. There's a plus sign. Click that, please. Continue, Jenny.
All right. And then lastly, for the month of October, on Saturday, October 28th, we're going to have a legendary Halloween. Legendary Damon is going to be hosting a Halloween party here at the King Pleasure exhibition in downtown LA. We'll have cocktails and different spirits. There'll be a DJ Daisy Odell. And I believe we're asking people to come dressed as their favorite artist. So those are my PSAs, and Toxic is still not here.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll figure it out.
It might be that his screen is not showing the camera first, and he might press the little I forget what the icon looks like.
The plus sign.
Yeah.
It looks like a camera, and it's a plus sign. You can try clicking that. I've tried to invite you a few times, Toxic. But see if you can hit that little camera. And if it doesn't work, if we can't make this happen, which I really hope we can, because I think it'd be amazing. But if we can't, this Friday, Jean-Michel Basquiat King Pleasure at the Grand, we're going to have a panel discussion with Lee Quiñones, Toxic, Jeanine, and myself. And we're going to have this conversation right in the Palladium room at King Pleasure. And what's going to be really, what is amazing and what feels so good about this whole thing is that it gives Jeanine and I an opportunity to ask all kinds of questions of friends of Jean-Michel's to talk about this time in the 80s and this moment in time that is so historical and so important. You know, it is an opportunity for us to talk a little bit about what was going on back there. Tarek, I did send you, I sent you the invite. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to have a chance to really have some conversation about what that time was like. And I think it's a great conversation for people who want to learn more about the 80s art scene and what was happening back then. I think it's an amazing conversation for those folks who really want to understand what the life of a creative is like over decades, like people who have my goodness, from people while he's coming on. Do not hang up this phone, Toxic. You're on your way. Just don't hang up. Don't touch anything. Just join. He should be on in a second.
There's a sighting. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
I can't.
I am so sorry.
I'm
breaking bread with all my people.
There you go.
Come on now. We said that you were doing this for the surprise factor.
I tried to
this
tell
on purpose.
I tried to tell Mr. Quiñones, but he used to be the foodie expert back in the day. So I'm just picking up where he left off. So
my gosh.
We're having like an early old people's dinner right now.
I love it.
It's like all you can eat on the Lower East Side.
The blue
for
plate
$500.
The blue plate special. Oh my
God. I'm happy to see myself. I like, do we all get like a discount on our glasses? Because that's kind of
I know, right?
Oh, you have you have little pretty cat women glasses on.
Yo, Walgreens, they're like $6.
so much love, and thank you guys for I used to kind of blurry, but
all those people around the table.
I gotta get it back.
And nobody can help you get on. All those people around the table, they couldn't help you get on.
I'm with I had to come thank you, because I had to come back and resource from the sound and who hold.
We lost you.
Sitting at the table with Alan Page, my brother Bo Jace. I'm with Carlio. I'm with Coast TDS.
Yes.
Mateo Boglione. I'm with Leia, Leia, and I'm like, wow. And I was listening to you guys, and I was going, help, let me in.
You should have asked those folks around the table.
But I kind of get used to that. I'm kind of really used to let me in, so it was okay. And so I know I'm gonna eat cold spaghetti and meatballs now.
That's all right. It'll be good.
Hey, Jeanine, what's up, Ma? Hey, Lisane.
Hey.
What's up, Mr. Quiñones?
Hey.
Hold tight.
I have a question for both of you, so I have a quick question for both of you. And we'll start with Lee. We're going to have this conversation on Friday, and it's going to be an amazing, amazing conversation. And my question to you, while Toxic is eating spaghetti because he's hungry, why did you say yes to this panel conversation? Why did you say? Listen, I get it. Why did you say yes to this panel discussion, Lee? And this is for both of you.
Okay. So I said yes because I'm more than excited to have this exchange conversation with you guys, you, Lisane, and
Lisane.
Yes, Lisane, and Jeanine. I really want to be able to clarify and help paint a picture of the truth, a very candid conversation about time. And also just remind people that this was for me. Young man that had
No, I'm just moving around because you were breaking up for me.
Yeah, I think it's the sound in your background. We heard a lot of it, but I think it's the sound in your background for it.
They're playing really beautiful reggae songs in the background.
Red wine.
Red wine.
Yeah!
Red wine for sure. For Jeanine, come on now, pull it out.
Oh, this is so bad. You people do really bad Instagram. This is why I don't do Instagram interviews.
We know who's.
Is this why? This is why you should.
We know who's driving. Who's driving?
He's in New York. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want in New York. You're getting home. You can walk.
Hey, so I came outside now.
So Toxic,
it's
why did you say yes? And here's the reason. Jeanine and I, for us, and as much as this work that we're doing is about Jean-Michel, and it's also for us very cathartic because it's an opportunity for us to heal the loss of our brother and also an opportunity for us to stay present in the energy of our brother. And we're very grateful for that, for the ability to do that, as anyone who has a sibling who has passed has the ability to do. It's not just because it's Jean-Michel. But for us, the opportunity to actually sit down and have a conversation with his friends is everything. And that's one of the things that we're so excited about, to be able to kind of sit in a room that feels like a living room and have this conversation. So why did you say yes, Toxic?
Can you turn that down? So,
he's in New York.
He's in New York. He's like, listen, I'm back.
It's like, cousin, listen, wait a minute. So, when we met in, I gotta find it now. Oh man, this is too bad because the music is like beautiful. And
we can hear you. We hear you.
Okay, I was trying to find a quiet place. So, the last thing you said, it touched on something very important. It was like for the first time, I kind of had a place to let go and have some type of closure. And like the most beautiful thing for me was with like Lisane and Jeanine, both of you. And I had to like, I was so happy I had on like dark glasses because nobody could see me crying. But that's how deep it was for me. And I think like, and I kind of didn't participate in a lot of things for other reasons. But if I was like, we're going to celebrate John, then I'm all in. And I saw this as like another moment, as a moment where I was like, you better go in there and light the birthday candles and blow them out for your brother, like, because I have to be there, And I thank you both, Lisane and Jeanine, for asking me to do this because, wow. And Jean is someone who inspired me, as Mr. Quiñones is. Mr. Quiñones inspires me all the fucking. I want to be like Lee. Somebody wanted to be like Mike. I wanted to be like Lee. I'm not gonna be like Lee. I will try my hardest to be like Lee, because he has been like a guiding spirit for me and A1 and Ram and Dondi, and so many people are not here right now to say that like, Mr. Quiñones, I like 100,000 roses, 2 gardens, a couple of apple trees to you. To you. I owe you so much more than I could ever say. And like, just to be part of this right now for me is just so beautiful. And I would hope this energy. It's just really funny because Lee sits there and he's like that Duracell bunny you see, and they stick the battery in the back and he like keeps on going. That's Mr. Quiñones, right?
That's right.
Mr. Quiñones has been going on since the 70s. Mr. Quiñones is the link between myself, your brother, uptown, downtown, Lower East Side. Hold it down, Lee. I don't think people tell you how important you are.
Don't tell too much to the story, though. No.
Let's save
that one for Friday.
I told Lee. I said, Lee, this is really bad because I don't fan crush nobody, but I was like, always tried to be like Lee, and that's a bad thing.
He's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big deal.
Yeah.
Jean, we didn't have that competition. Jean pushed all of us. We all pushed each other to do whatever we were doing in all of our in every different direction. We were wearing Air Jordans. Ramos was wearing like Chinese slippers. So it wasn't that, but everybody had their something, and all together we made this really beautiful thing happen, But
yeah.
It was the most supportive. I like to thank you, Lee, first for always supporting me and putting up with little creepy people like me who asked you 2,000 questions every time I saw you. And and for you know, and Jean for shining a pathway for us to like exist right now and to open doors for like a lot of the artists to like do what they're doing right now. And
Yeah.
that's their school. See, because I'm
Yeah.
the youngins there. That's I say that and I'm like, I'm pointing at you. You know who I'm pointing at, right? Yeah, you and the cat glasses.
So,
You
Well,
know?
to put it in perspective, John and I are only about 5 months apart from each other in age. We were born in the year rat, 1960,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's he was 4 or 5 months older. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we want to save some of this. I think we want to let those of us who are drinking red wine to get back to it. I'm actually hosting an event here, so I got to get myself back to it. And I think that we want to save some of this conversation and this energy for Friday, which we know we're going to have anyway. I'm just saying that for
Yeah.
like suspense.
This
Y'all
is
buy your
this is like
tickets.
really
Somebody,
beautiful. This is like
I
crazy.
know, I know, I know. Somebody asked if this conversation was going to happen in person, and the answer to that is yes. We are having this conversation this Friday, the 20th, at
Yeah.
Jean-Michel Basquiat King Pleasure at the Grand LA. At our exhibition space. It's going to be a conversation between the four of us that are right here. We're really looking forward to this conversation. The title of the event is Young Kings, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of things and whatever we want to talk about, frankly. And we're going to have a really good time doing it. So
And
reserve your tickets. We
and
have a
then we're
few
gonna
left,
party at the end.
and then we're going
Yeah.
to party
and really
because
beautiful glasses. Everybody's gonna be like, "Who's your
I know.
optometrist?"
I got to find a new pair. I know. And then after we have this
It's like,
amazing
I should meet your
conversation,
eye doctor. Huh?
after we have this
It's like,
incredible
you guys, I'm looking
conversation,
at your glasses and I'm like, man.
they're very impressive. Very impressive.
I mean, seriously,
Um,
there's some like funky glasses thing going on
they
right here. I'm not
are. They
talking about
are.
the red wine glasses.
Oh, I thought you meant the red
There's
wine.
some,
Uh, Young King tickets, kingpleasurela.com. Buy your tickets there. We have a few left. Did we lose him? He just like said his thing,
We
busted
lost
on
them.
left.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
He went back to the second course.
He went back. That's all good. So anyway, y'all, buy your tickets. We're really looking forward to this conversation Friday in LA. Yes, it's in person. And yes, we're going to do some of this and really dive deep into all the topics that we touched on. If you have some questions, send them along to us. We'll include them in the conversation. And otherwise, thank you all so much for joining. This was fun, Lee.
Yes. Yes. I can't thank you both as well and the whole organization there. And I'm sure that the show is stellar as the one in New York was. I recommend everyone go see that show.
Yeah.
It's a real deep sea dive into the life of an incredible artist and a community around him as well.
Yeah.
Feel the vibe in the room. That's all I can say. Feel the vibes
Yep.
in the room.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
All right,
Lee.
y'all.
Travel safe.
Travel-
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank
All right. Okay. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Good night.
Night.